Hey everyone, welcome back to NDC. Pickers are kind of like unsung heroes of SwiftUI. They power everything from choosing a theme, scheduling events, to even setting user preferences. Today we'll master all three. The date picker, where you can choose a date and or time with many different customization options. We also have the option pickers with a more menu style, inline mode, or even the segmented controls, and the color picker, where users can select their own color. So if we want to change this text to maybe more of a Swift orange, there we go. I've also included this final project on my GitHub if you want to fork, including a way to actually save your colors with SwiftData. Otherwise, let's go ahead and dive on into the demo so you can learn how to add these pickers to your app and customize them fully. So we're going to be using SwiftUI today, which means we need Xcode. I'm going to be starting off in a blank project, but feel free to add these to any of your projects as well. Let's start off with the date pickers. So whenever we're using any of these pickers, we're going to be creating a state private variable. And let's go ahead and call this one selected date. And we're going to have this actually equal a date, which is a data type, and we're going to just give it an empty date for the default. The date is like a value type, like an integer or a string. It's just a way that Swift uses a date formatting, and you can change how it's being formatted and displayed later. So to create a date picker, we use the date picker with camel case. The first thing we need to do is provide it with a label. So I'm going to go ahead and just say select a date. Then we're going to add a comma after that string, and then we're going to have our selection. For our selection, we need a binding, which is why we had created the state private variable. So we're going to do $ and then type in the name of our private var, which I had just called selected date. Now, if we run this, we will just get a default date picker in our preview, where we can actually just select a date. Here we go. We can see our label. We can see the date. So we can change this to be October 31st for Halloween, and we can also change the time. Now, this at a very, very basic level is pretty simple to use, but there's so much more we can do with it, as the date picker is really flexible. If we want more control over the displayed components, after our selection, we can add another comma, and we can do the displayed components. We can use the autofill there. So from here, we can choose whether we want the date or the hour and minute. So if we're to select this to just be date, we're going to lose that hour and minute timing. So now we just have the date, no time selection. If you want the hour and minute, this will remove the date, but show just the kind of timer there. Great if you're just using something for within the same day. So here we have the timer with the AM and PM. If you would like both, which is enabled by default for most of the styles, you can use your square brackets and do the dot date, comma, dot hour and minute, which gives us that original view and style. You can also create a range for your date. I would typically do this by setting up a range constant, and we'll have it equal the date. This looks at the date and time that's currently available on your device, so in my case the Mac or the iPhone that I'm using. I'd then use the triple dots to select a range, just like we do when we're doing a range of numbers. I'd add another date here, and then the dot adding time interval. Let's say we want our time interval to be through the next 7 days. Swift date can be a little bit weird, but let's go ahead and do our 60 times 60 times 24 and then times 7. Then within our date picker, we can choose the range. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our displayed components here, and I'm going to do my in, and then we're going to choose our range, and we're just referencing the constant we had just created. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Now, when we go to select our date, we can see here that anything before or anything after that 1 week interval is grayed out. I can't select it no matter how hard I try to select. So you can use this, and maybe you want to have a birthday or an age verification. So if you want to check to see if people are 18 years or older, you can do that as well. Or if you only have appointments available on select dates, you can control that range as needed. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these styles. So after the date picker, you can do the dot, and from here we can choose the style. We want to use the dot date picker style, and within the brackets, we can use our dot notation again. We can see here we have automatic. This basically just tries its best to pick the best or kind of default style for the date pickers, the one that we're currently looking at. We then have the compact, which is a style that displays the component in a compact textual format. So we can see here, this is the one that we had where it has the more calendar style pop-up. Let's go ahead and check on what graphical looks like. Graphical is probably my favorite one if you have the space. There's the graphical, which kind of just looks like the pop-out that's available all the time. We can also have the little time down here. I like this one the best, in my opinion. But again, you kind of want to have a lot of space for this one. And we also have the wheel. This one is very like classic iOS. I would typically maybe not have this also one paired with time because it can get a little bit cluttered. The label can also be customized or hidden. If you want to hide the label, you can do the dot label is hidden. You'll also see on some views it's hidden by default. Now that our label is hidden, we can no longer see it next to the date and time picker. You can also customize the tint. So let's say we have a calendar here, and when I'm selecting my date, I want to have a tint of a color. So I've updated it to be orange. For the date time picker, the option pickers, and the color picker we're talking about later, there's a lot of layout that can also be applied to all of these, with the frame setting the width and height for explicit sizing, padding, background color, corner radius, and shadow as well, which are more generic SwiftUI customizations. Now, before we move on to the other ones, I want to take a really quick moment to talk about the MultiDatePicker. This is something that's very similar to your DatePicker, but let's say we wanted to have a range of dates. Let's say maybe you're going on vacation and you're planning your hotel dates. This allows you to select multiple spots. So what we can do is we can set up a bound set date components, just like we normally do with our state private variable, and have it equal by default an empty array. From there, we'd pass it through on this selection of the MultiDatePicker, and then we might want to have a list that has the calendar dates. So let's say I wanted to go on vacation from the 27th to the 31st, and we can select all of those dates. This way you're allowed to, kind of select multiple dates if you'd like to, or unselect them. You can kind of change it a little bit. You might want to kind of highlight the 27th to the 31st with kind of like blue on those other numbers, but this is a pretty cool option if you're selecting multiple times. Now let's talk a little bit about option pickers. These are typically combined with like user settings where it's like, hey, what theme do you want? Do you want the mint theme, the lilac theme, right? You can create these by doing the picker, and so the autofill here will include a label. So let's call this one options. And for our selection, let's go ahead and create a state private var. We'll call it choice. That makes the most sense. And I'm going to make this a string value. However, you can make it whatever you would like. If you want to have numbers, if you want it to be a custom theme, totally up to you. Let's go ahead and put our binding of choice on in here. And we don't need this content here. From here, we'll add a brace. I would recommend doing an enum if you do have different themes or different choices, so it's more consistent throughout your app. Otherwise, we can just include some base text. I'll have one. When you do have these options, I'd recommend including a tag. You can also have a tag within your enum, so they're a little bit more organized. Otherwise, I'll just have the first one be the tag of 1, and then the second one will put the text as 2 and the tag as number 2. So here's our default option picker, which looks a little bit scuffed. You can choose between the two options. So like I said, I'd recommend doing these with an enum. So instead, I'm going to change mine to be view mode. I have a quick enum here, which is a string, case iterable, and identifiable. So I'm just going to update our choice to be based off the enum of view mode. And we'll have the default be the list style. Then in our picker, we can go ahead and update this as we see fit, or we can do a quick little hack and use the for each. We'll look at the view mode enum from above, and we'll look at all of the cases that we want. We'll have our mode in, and then we can kind of loop through these with text. So within the brackets, I'd have a mode.raw value. And then the tag would be the mode. You don't have to set it up like this. I just find it works a little bit best. And enums are pretty good for different options or menus. Let's also talk about the .picker style. There's tons of options here. We have the segmented, which is my personal favorite, which is more of this horizontal option selection that highlights the current one. So you can see here we have the list, grid, and map. And as we select them, it kind of hops to the one and highlights the correct one. We then have the inline. I recommend putting the inline within a form, as you'll see I've done here. It very much matches the form style, and we have a little check mark on the right side telling us which one we have selected. We then have the menu, which is what we saw first, where we have the options, and as we select them, it updates what it says here, kind of like this little pop-up with a check mark on the left. We also have the wheel, which is that more classic iOS style, where we can kind of swipe the one that we want going up and or down. We also have the palette style, which on the surface looks pretty much identical to the segmented, but you can use palette when you want a more flexible adaptive control. This can also handle icons, labels, and more options without breaking layout. So with segmented, you kind of want to stick to about 5 options, whereas with the palette, if you have too many options, it'll kind of go to another row. So this is good if you have larger sets of options, icons, text. It's a little bit more adaptive on your layout and more content friendly, pretty modern, but there's something about the segmented control that feels pretty classic. So if you have a lot of options, like I said, maybe more than 5 or you need more space, I would go into the palette instead of the segmented controls. There is also the navigation link. So this is a picker style represented by a navigation link, and you can actually use this to navigate to, say, a detail view or wherever you do need to go. It's not typically widely used. I think most people would actually create a proper menu for that or just have navigation links within the app, but just know it does exist. Because none of ours are actually navigatable, it kind of is a little bit broken. We also have some further customization options. Again, we can use the dot label as hidden. We can also set a frame, a background color if we really want, the opacity that it has, an accessibility label, as well as an accessibility identifier. All great stuff to include to really customize this to be your own. So again, use these for maybe controlling a theme, a choice the user has, maybe even difficulty, and you can grab that selection based off of a state private variable and use it as you'd wish. I typically use these with enums just to make sure that everything is pretty easy to go and kind of more plug and play. So for the color picker, there's not too much customization we can do, and just like before, we'll create our state private var, and we'll have it be our selected color, which will equal a color value, and let's have it be, let's say blue by default. To create a color picker, we can use the color picker, and then add our brackets. We'll need a label, so let's go ahead and say pick a color. We do use the COLOR for color in Swift, and we'll also include our selection with that binding value of selected color. And unlike the picker views that we saw before, there's unfortunately not a whole lot of customization we can do here. Here's our pick a color on iPhone and iPad OS. It's just going to bring up this little color wheel here. We have the kind of grid, we have the spectrum, and we also have sliders if you want a little bit more control. On Mac OS, we would get this normalized color picker that you may have seen by creating a custom color in Xcode or maybe on Keynote. And on watchOS, you get a little compact color selector. Otherwise, typically when I have my color picker, I'll actually remove the label from the arguments. I would then add my braces and add a label argument here. So I might want to call it tint and then have a system image. And I like to use the paint palette one. You can make your labels like this for the other views we saw. Otherwise, a frame typically and having some width. Let's set this one to maybe be 100. This should kind of bring the label and the actual color picker icon closer together. You can play around with these numbers, but I find without the frame, they're just way too far apart. What you can also do is within the arguments of the color picker, add a comma and do the supports opacity, which is a Boolean flag of either true or false. So we set this to be true. We're able to have the opacity, and let's go ahead and quickly hook this up to a shape. Let's create a circle and we'll add a small frame. Maybe we'll set this one to be 200 by 200. And the fill, the color would be based off of the selected color. So here we have it hooked up to be a color, and we have the supported opacity in the bottom because we have set it to be true. And again, you can change whichever one you'd like. So if you want more of this light red, and now we're displaying that color within the circle. If we were to set this opacity support to be false, Now at the bottom, we no longer have that opacity change option. There's not a whole lot of customization we can do. The other thing we could do is a foreground style if we want to change the kind of color of the label. So if we wanted this to maybe be orange, so it updates that. You could do the accessibility label and the accessibility identifier if you want. So if this changed, circle color. I do have a demo on how you can save your color with SwiftData. To save the colors, you gotta do a little bit of magic. So what I've done here is used SwiftData to save the color choices. Essentially what we're doing is we're creating a theme color and we're saving that hex and telling Swift to use that color value. I've included comments here to hopefully make it easier for you, but essentially we have an extension of color where we take the color and convert it to the hex, where we have the RGB values and return it into a string format. Then we create the SwiftUI color from the 6-digit hex string, and we have just a fallback of gray if anything fails. From there, we're extracting the RGB components from the 24-bit integer. So red goes from 16 to 23, green 8 to 15, and blue 0 to 7. We do a little bit of math to convert it, and then we query through and grab that number. So I'd recommend checking out the GitHub demo in the description below if you want to learn a little bit more about saving colors. It's a little bit weird that we can't just save that color value and call it a day. Oh well, this is a decent way around it, so feel free to use that code so then you can save that color in between launches. Great if you're having users customize like a profile background. You don't want them to lose it every single time. So that has been the Pickers demo. Let me know down in the description below what you're going to be using Pickers for in your app. Otherwise, dream big, code bigger. Reminder, the GitHub for this project with all the examples is in the description below. So feel free to check that out. Dream big, code bigger, and we'll see you in the next one.